It's a hobby that makes you want to cry a lot. Hello, darling. Are you ready for a good old-fashioned crash out? Awesome, because you're in for more than one. Yeah, it's been a bit of a week. I am going through a home renovation, which super grateful for, very excited about. But what that means is all of my hobby and craft things are sort of in a giant pile in my living room. It's weirdly stressful, but also when I just want to relax from being stressed out by doing hobbies and crafts, I have to like dig through this pile to do things. So it's this weird vicious circle. Point being, I have not been able to sew in a little while for a couple reasons. One, my machine had to go to the machine doctor. Her belt broke a few months ago. I replaced it. She never really worked again quite right. So I took her to be serviced, to have her cleaned up, oiled up, have the belt kind of checked out, see if it was, the belt problem. And I'm really glad that I did that. However, he held on to her, the repair man held on to her for weeks. Like weeks. He told me he was going to take 7 days. Weeks. So in that time, I had been thinking about getting a backup machine for a long time. And I decided, okay, well, if this is going to be an ongoing thing, I'm going to need a backup machine. I bought a refurbished Singer, which then took me a while to get to me. Of course, as things go, the refurbished Singer gets to me like 2 days later. My machine, Pauline, is ready for pickup. Okay, great. We can sew. Or can we? Now, what is it about sewing? And I'm going to ask you sewists out there. It's a hobby that makes you want to cry a lot. While also being like the thing that makes you happy. It's weird. I am going to let voice over me take it from here. Because it's necessary for the series of events that's going to transpire. This whole adventure actually started off really nicely. In the mail this morning, I had actually got this copy of a Vogue International Patterns catalog that I had scored online a couple of days prior, and I was so excited to flip through it, and it led me to have so many ideas of what I wanted to make. Like, I walked away from flipping through this with a list of want to makes. So because I really did have such a long list of things I wanted to make, I decided it was best to leave it up to fate's hands. Now, I'm not an overly organized person, but when it comes to my pattern collection, because I really do view it as a collection, I had to organize it. I have so many of them. And so I put them in this spreadsheet. I decided to use a random number generator and let it pick one for me. And unfortunately, the first one it chose, I had already made. So I had to go back and do it again. But that's okay. It chose an absolute winner. Now, again, I'm not this organized with most things in my life. I know I look a little crazy here, but this just has saved me so much time and effort and care. So having the pattern number was just the beginning. I had to go to the pile of doom to find the right tub, to find the right list of patterns, to find the right pattern, which I did. McCalls 9071. It's a quickie pattern for a very cute little mod dress. Now I'm doing something here I don't normally do. I'm taking the time to actually lay out all the pieces, see if they're there, see if they're complete. If you collect vintage patterns, you know that can be a crapshoot. And I'm reading the instructions and choosing the one I want to make. And I'm choosing appropriate fabrics. This is all a process that I am usually a bit more willy-nilly about. But because it had been a while since I had sewed and I was super excited to get back to it, I just also decided I wanted to do it correctly. And by correctly, that means yes, ironing your pattern pieces to make sure you do a proper cutout of them, and making a mock-up. I'm using my favorite bed sheet that literally came off my bed one day. I think this is the second or third mock-up I've made out of it. Its only downside is that it has little dots on it and it's kind of a dull gray. It really does read hospital gown, no matter what you mock up out of it. Here is where it all sort of goes downhill for a while. This is my new machine. I've named her Pinky. She's quite cute. She is a refurbished heavy-duty Singer that I got secondhand. She even came with these silly vintage pattern instructions. Not sure if it's just because she's refurbished, but here we go. I am actually reading all the instructions over and over and over. I am taking out all the little pieces. I am doing all the things that the pictures are telling me to do. I am attempting to make this thing work. Now, I am aware that this is user error. I know that this is supposed to be a simple beginner's machine. But because my daily machine is a very, very simple 1970s, totally mechanical Singer fashion mate from quite some time ago, this was just so much more complicated than my brain could put together at the moment. Literally, after about a half an hour of whining and almost crying, I gave up. I packed away the new machine for another day and sat down at my trusty little tank of a machine and pulled out the instructions, and we're gonna do it again. I was so proud of myself for actually taking the time to do a mock-up. I know you're supposed to, but if you are a little lazy sometimes with your sewing like I can be, then you don't always make a mock-up. But I decided to do it. I'm so glad that I did. So yes, not only did the repair shop keep my machine for literal weeks, when it was returned to me, the bulb was burnt out and the little place where the light bulb goes was sort of dangling off the side. I was freaking livid. So I had to acquire another bulb that was going to take several days to get to me. And then I had to figure out how to install that thing. Lack of light bulb be damned. I actually made a mock-up that for the most part fit. There was really only one issue, and that's the waist. I do have a short torso, so it's not a surprise that it was just not hitting me at the natural waist like it was supposed to. Even though it's an A-line, it was just feeling a little extra baggy. So I knew I needed to make the waist adjustment. I just looked at the pattern, kind of went off of there, figured that was about right, and went with it. And yes, we always iron our fabric. I actually very closely followed the cutting instructions, which I normally don't do, but it was a little extra important with this pattern because it did ask to be underlined, which is where you put two pieces of fabric, baste them together, and treat them as one. So you've got to make sure, if you don't cut them out at the same time, that you cut them out really, really precisely so they fit together. I went with this beautiful green, this Kelly green for my underlining. tried a couple different methods for drawing darts. I used a washable marker and also my little roller and the carbon paper to see which one worked better. And I do tie my dart ends so that they're a little less sharp. But in the end, the washable marker was the winner. So we've got all of our darts sewn in, and now it's time to attach the fabrics to each other so that we can treat them like one piece. Doing the same for the yoke. Now, even though I had cut things out really precisely, the fabric wasn't quite lining up, but I kind of knew this when I went into it. I knew that one of them was missing about an inch, so I just put it at the hem with the understanding that I most likely was gonna hem that up anyway. So here we are with my Crayola washable marker, marking up our darts for the back. I do love digging through my vintage zippers to find just the right thing when I'm making an outfit. This one is just so perfect. It's still in its original packaging. Love it. So I followed the instructions on the inside of the package for this one. Always a safe bet. And just look at how perfect this invisible zipper came out. I'm so proud of it. This is the only sort of non-vintage thing I did with this pattern. I am using a fusible interfacing, which with most vintage patterns, it is a sew-on interfacing, but I wanted to give this one a shot. It did work great in terms of giving it the structure that the collar needed, but the color is so vibrant white compared to the green interlined rest of the dress. I gotta say, I may never take her in for servicing again because I am learning how to do all the things. Now it's time to get this yoke attached to the front. I figured it was best to do a fit check before we put in any facings in the arms and the collar, and I have to say, it's pretty good. The adjustment on the waist absolutely worked out. It is a little bit bigger than I would probably make a current modern style dress in, but look, that's how it's meant to fit. I do kind of wish I put pockets in it, but otherwise everything fits great and I'm super happy with this fit check. Here's where you notice a lot of the big four vintage patterns, current patterns too, have misprints. This says steps 1 through 7, but if I go through 1 through 7, that's only to the zipper, and 8 is the shoulder seams. The side seams haven't been sewed according to this yet. Ugh, so annoying. So I don't know about you, but I do occasionally have a few glasses of wine, stay up a little bit later than I should, and peruse some online auctions. And a couple weeks ago, I scored this giant box of vintage notions. Genuinely sight unseen, had no idea what was in it. You are going through this the first time with me. Oh, these 70s calico trims, gorgeous. I could dive headlong into this box and spend hours here. But it was full of vintage zippers, rickrack, seam binding, elbow patches. There was a few fringes and trims and just things from all sorts of, I want to say from like the 40s through maybe the early 80s. a lot of snaps, just so many goodies. It was definitely like a holiday morning for me. But I wanted to pick something from this box to use as a trim on the yoke, just because during my fit check I realized it still was reading a little hospital gowny, little girl-y. I wanted to find some trims to kind of make it a little bit more grown up and give it a little bit more visual interest. So we're digging through this to find the perfect trim. I did also play around with using the green version of the applique that I put on my pants from a few videos ago, but this is what I ended up going with. It's such a fun vintage baby blue and gold, sort of not brocade kind of thing. I just love it. It was a bit thick, but as any sewing machine forum will tell you, my machine is a tank. People who make their own machines, who use machines for parts, love my machine for this reason. It can handle these thick jobs. All that's left is the collar and the facings, plus a little embellishment. I understitched this collar by hand. Thank you very much. And here we are cruising along, just sewing together those armhole facings. It turns out there was so much excess oil that it was literally gumming up the works in my machine. I had to pull out some threads and clean it up. I genuinely almost quit at this point because I was so frustrated with the machine issues, but I was also so close to being done. But because I was frustrated, I was making stupid mistakes. I messed up the basting of this armhole facing so badly. I had to seam rip the whole thing. And then I just went back in and did it by hand. Yep, sewed it stitch by stitch. And since I was in the hand stitching mood and I wanted to make this feel a little grown up, I decided some sequin type embellishments were the way to go. The only thing left to do is a really nice hand-stitched hem facing. And here she is. So in the end, I do have my very cute dress that I really, really, really like. Took way longer than I expected. A lot more hand sewing than I've done in a long time, but I really do like it. The pros, honestly, if you weren't underlining this, you could knock this dress together in like 2 hours tops. It genuinely is a really simple design, is a simple pattern. That's again, assuming your machines work and that everything's ready to roll. And again, it's just so cute. It's so simple and it's open for a bajillion variations, whatever you like. So that's the main pro. Cons, the underlining that it suggests, I'm really glad that I did it. I've been wanting to kind of learn how to do that for a while. It just made the whole process take a lot longer. But It's not even that much of a con. It just took some more time. I'm sure now that I know how to do it and how to work with it, next time I do it, it'll be much, much quicker. So thank you for hanging out with me on this roller coaster of a sewing adventure. I enjoyed having you here. So come stick around, hang out, subscribe. Let me know what I should sew next. How do you handle, by the way, your sewing disasters? Do you just cry in a ball in the corner like me, or do you have a better way of coping? Let me know. Until I see you next time for another creative adventure, stay sewing, stay learning, stay creative. I'll see you soon.